people, welcome back to the Empower Journal, a space to create the life you want to live. I'm your host Dev, and join me on today's episode exclusively for you on Amazon Music and Spotify. So, what's cooking in episode 27? Before we set the stage, I want you all to reflect on this thought which has been going on in my head for a very long time. So here it is. Are we really free as we think as an empowered woman, or are we carrying the new pressure disguised as empowerment? Keep thinking. So meanwhile, I want to share this thing to you, like one of those moments where I felt like I was on top of the world when everything clicks, meetings, deadlines, phone calls, and so. Actually, I was ticking off everything like a pro. But at the end of the day, I couldn't ignore this feeling that something was off. Then at lunch with my friends, one of them very casually said, "You always seem to be busy. How do you juggle so much?" I actually laughed it off. But inside I felt a twinge. It hit me really hard. Being an independent, empowered woman doesn't mean constantly being on the go. Sometimes I felt like I was running on empty, I would say. Maybe I think it's okay all of us to step back, breathe, and still be powerful without doing much. So, I hope this resonates with you as well. Let me start by reading a question from one of our listeners for this episode. Hello Dev, this is Aarti here. I think you'll be able to relate a lot to this question. As an independent woman, I sometimes feel pressure to have everything together all the time. It's like people expect me to be constantly strong. Or is it just me because it feels like a double-edged sword? The more capable I am, the more isolated I feel from genuine support and understanding. Oh, yes. Hey Aarti, you're definitely not alone in feeling this way, because I do understand, and I know that it gets celebrated as strength, being independent and all. Of course, we have broken barriers as well. But the sad reality is, people around us, or even sometimes we ourselves, often forget that we are still human beings dealing with stress, doubts, insecurities, hard days, challenges, tough moments, just like everybody else. In fact, nobody talks to us in detail about it, and that's about to change in episode 27, Empowered or Exhausted. Today, we will figure out why empowerment feels like a double-edged sword and how do we deal with it without stressing upon it. Once again, thank you all for the time and support. Welcoming you back to the Empower Journal podcast, episode number 27, Empowered or Exhausted. Let's be honest. In fact, let's dive deeper into why society is still struggling to understand how to deal with an empowered woman. Because people still feel intimidated being around someone who is confident or independent. Of course, like I said before, we have made progress in gender equality. But those double standards are still alive. If you see, when a woman speaks authoritatively, she's still labeled as too aggressive or too controlling. But when a man does the same, he's called as a leader. I hope all of you could very much relate to this comparison. We are constantly held to higher standards and expected to balance being strong and kind, assertive and likable at the same time. I'm not sure how it is humanly possible even in 2024. If you see, women are still shattering stereotypes, fighting not just to lead but to be seen as capable without being labeled as someone aggressive. Now, talking about the other side of the reality, I hope each one of you in the career world would have experienced that isolated feeling. Because speaking of loneliness is part of the package. In fact, sometimes our own close friends or family members just don't get it. They don't understand the hustle, or even worse, they feel threatened by it. And they start acting really distant because they are not sure how to relate to someone who's making their own way. And talking about relationships and dating, don't even get me started. Relationship actually gets little tricky when you're strong and independent. In fact, sometimes it's more like you're too busy for me now. The truth is, the loneliness that comes with empowerment is real. Your success isn't always celebrated, it's not actually as glamorous as Insta or any other media makes it look like. At least you are building your own path, so you can feel absolutely content and great about it. And here comes the classic phrase we have all heard every time when someone is trying to cheer us up, that you can have it all. And if you believe that and trying to be perfect, let me clear it for you. You're trying to have it all is basically a recipe for disaster, my dear. Because having it all myth is a trap. Society basically loves telling women to do it all. Be a boss at work, raise perfect kids, keep a picture perfect home, and also look like a supermodel while doing it. Sounds so easy, right? For me, it sounds very irritating. Here's the truth. Nobody can handle all that without going bonkers. It's a burnout. The frustration, guilt, everything is real. And there is no magic trick to being perfect. And trying to pull it off will just leave you exhausted, annoyed, and probably in the middle of the night you'll start Googling how to clone myself. Just not worth it. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about having it all. Speaking of impossible standards have become the habit of society. In fact, an obsession, I would say, especially when it comes to women. But then there is an added weight of perfection also. Trust me, it's very draining to always strive for perfection. In fact, it's exhausting, I would say. So don't put yourself through that. The constant pressure to strive for perfection can feel like all-consuming. For many women, particularly those from these underrepresented groups, this idea of perfection is a burden, and it is compounded by another challenge called tokenism. When tokenism comes into play, it is a frustrating reality for many of us. Let me give you a scenario. Sometimes you're promoted or you're given visibility not for your skills but to meet a diversity quota. It might, of course, look like a progress. It can feel like being a symbol rather than being valued for your contribution. Think about it. Instead of being seen as equal, you are reduced to a checkbox, carrying the weight of representing the entire gender, race or community. It's like all your qualifications suddenly vanish and now you are carrying weight of the representation. So the point is, tokenism isn't inclusion. It is just another way of boxing people in rather than breaking barriers. So if you ask me, Aarti, I would say just be ambitious. Don't overstep, be confident, but not too much. Of course, you can chase your dreams, but also juggle 100 other things slowly so you can do things in your own pace. Remember, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to meet everybody else's expectation or the so-called society standards. And you definitely don't have to do it alone. When the weight of these empowered expectation gets heavy, take a step back. Ask yourself, whose rules am I playing by? Lean on your people. Let go of this perfection and remember, real empowerment isn't about doing it all. It's about doing what matters to you. Own your journey, flaws and all. Because that's what makes you unstoppable, not the so-called standards. Alright, so that's a wrap on today's episode 27 of Empowered or Exhausted. We have dived into some uncomfortable truths about being a strong woman, I guess, the good, the bad, and the downright exhausting stuffs. Thank you for tuning into the episode of Empowered or Exhausted. I hope today's discussion helped you to reflect on your journey. Remember, it's okay to feel empowered one day and exhausted the next. So what matters is how we navigate and grow through it all. Until next time, this is Dev signing off from the Empowered Journal podcast. If this episode resonated with you, do share your experiences with me or share it with someone who might need to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe the Empowered Journal podcast on Spotify and Amazon Music and leave a review to help me reach more listeners like you. Until next time, take care, stay balanced and keep moving forward. Nandri!